welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another reaction video. We got the NFL Draft's dark side. Let's check this out.
The NFL Draft. It's almost like a national holiday. You have big boards, mock drafts, pro days.
My favorite time of the year, bro.
No different. You have names like Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, guys who everyone's excited to see where they end up and excited to see them walk across the stage and shake Commissioner Goodell's hands. But here's what no one talks about. For every one of the big names, there's thousands of other guys that are going through the exact same process and chasing the same dream. For most of them, they won't get the call. There won't be any cameras.
That is tough, bro.
Fanfare. And a lot of them, they've already played their last down of football. They just don't know it yet. You might be wondering how I know that. Well, I was one of those guys. I went through the NFL process. I trained, I met with scouts, I met with teams, all in the hopes of maybe one day ending up on the big stage. And it's not like I was some 5-star prospect or some first-round lock, but I was in the process. Going through the process as a guy on the fringe, it's a whole different experience. So in this video, I want to give you the side of the NFL draft that they don't talk about.
I bet.
For a little background on me, I started my career as a walk-on in college. So I walked on at the University of Michigan, eventually earned a scholarship, and earned my way over the course of my career onto the field, where in my last year, 2020, the COVID year, I ended up being, a part of the defense. Like, I had a real role. To start off the year, I was more of a, rotational guy, and then as the year progressed on, some injuries happened, and I was like really playing major minutes. And I have a video about why I transferred from Michigan, but really, in short, it was I wanted more playing time. I missed spring ball because I got COVID, so I was like, let me hit the portal, transfer out. So I transferred to Utah State. I wasn't just some super mega prospect that transferred to Utah State and was destined to blow up. Now, I'm not saying I wasn't a good player, right? I was definitely a baller, had great stats, had great film, but at the end of the day, I was still on the slower side, you could say. And I mean, I knew this because in my first year at Utah State, there was pretty much zero NFL interest. But in my second year, that's when the NFL interest started to pick up. Scouts would come into the facility, ask the trainers about me, ask the coaches about me. And yeah, I was becoming someone who was on NFL radar. So as the season was kind of going along, I was talking to some of my coaches and pretty much asked them what the feedback was for me from the scouts. And they said the big thing was his lack of speed. We think that his lack of speed doesn't really put him in a position to really be able to compete at the NFL level. So I was like, all right, bet, man. I've been dealing with doubters my entire life, people saying I wasn't going to be able to play even D1 football or even college football in general because of my speed. So I was like, all right, you know what? We're going to get to work. We're going to find a place where we train for 8 weeks, get faster. And then when we hit our pro day, we're going to run a flying time. So I made the decision to go down to Test Academy in Florida, in part because there was a track coach that we're going to be working with, Otto Bolden. And I felt that this facility right here is going to give me the best possible opportunity to run the time I need to run. But what you're not going to know from the top prospects draft process is that your training expenses aren't covered all the way if you're not one of those top guys. So guys that are going to be first round picks, they get their training paid for, they get their living paid for. Some of them even get a stipend on top of that. Like, I've been around first round picks at Michigan. Those guys, as soon as they got done playing and declared for the draft, they were handed a check for $100,000. Why?
Damn, 100K?
They got done playing and declared for the draft, they were handed a check for $100,000.
That's free bread. I ain't gonna lie. Maybe I should have played football then, eh?
Why? Well, agents, they know they're gonna recruit
That's
that
crazy.
on the first contract, so it's like, all right, man, we're gonna get this money back.
Shit, maybe I should have played college ball.
You're pretty much gonna have to figure out your training facility and how you're gonna pay for it. So I know everyone's probably heard of Exos from Combine Coverage. Well, Exos, that's probably gonna run you about $30,000 to $35,000 for combine training. Not to mention, that's where a lot of the top guys go to train. So if you're a guy that does have $30,000 to spend on training, just know they're probably gonna focus on those top prospects more than you. Now, every agency is different, but some agencies, they'll cover your training. Some agencies,
it's kind of fucked up
too,
bro.
Some agencies won't cover it at all unless you're a guy that gets invited to the combine. So there are a bunch of different ways to do it. The agency I was with, how they did it was they were able to cover 50% of the training. So Test was like 15 bands, so my agent covered half of that. I was responsible for the other half. I felt that investment was going to pay off in me running a fast 40 and eventually me getting a shot at the NFL. But to backtrack a little bit, before you even get to the training, you do have the All-Star games and showcases. So, the Senior Bowl, which is broadcast on TV, the practices are broadcast on TV, there are clips on YouTube, clips on Twitter. That's where the top guys go. If you're at the Senior Bowl, you're most likely going to get drafted. Then you have the Shrine Bowl, where a lot of those guys are going to be drafted and signed immediately. Then after that, you have like the Hula Bowl, the Tropical Bowl, and College Gridiron Showcase. So I went to College Gridiron Showcase. There were actually a good amount of players there who I like kind of knew from seeing on Twitter, like PFF and stuff like that. But there was good comp there. There was good comp. Now, none of us were really guys that were necessarily gonna be first round, second round, third round draft picks. Most of us weren't even gonna be drafted. There were a couple guys there that ended up getting drafted, but for the most part, it was like the really under the radar guys. I did meet with a few teams there, so I was like, all right, even though I'm not some high prospect, there are NFL teams that are looking for me, that are checking for me. So I was like, all right, we're in the right direction. All I need is one team to kind of fuck with me, and then I can go from there. But the one thing I will say about CGS is you could definitely tell it wasn't like, the showcase where all the top guys were, because some of the facilities we had and some of the things we had access to were kind of lacking. So it wasn't really, let's call it, recovery equipment and things of that nature. So I was going to the vending machine in the hotel, getting ice from the ice machine and pouring it in the bathtub just to take ice baths. I had my opportunity in front of the scouts and did what I needed to do. Now we're back to training. So I get down to Florida and I'm like, all right, I got 8 weeks to lock in and get my 40 down. So the first day I get there, I had to run my kind of test 40. So the 40 to see where you first at. My legs were heavy. I was like, I'm not going to pull a hamstring or anything like that. So I ran like a 4.79, I think.
Oh my.
All right, it's cool. I didn't really run a full 40 there. My goal was to run a sub 4.55. I was like, all right, I think I can get that. So I get to work. And when I tell you, when I first started, my mechanics were so bad, bro. Even watching it back, sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I was running like this. I probably sold myself short of so many plays in my career just because I didn't know how to run. But as the days and weeks kept progressing, I noticed my form getting better. I noticed my technique getting better. And over time, I was like, wait, hold up. I'm actually getting a lot faster. And the funny thing with the 40 is it is really the start that makes all the difference. If you can get your start down, you'll be
the 10-yard split really does matter.
Really goal, right?
Especially for defensive ends and shit.
Only about 10, 15 yards. So it's like, all right, if we get this first 25 yards down, I think I'm gonna be money. So I think it was about 4 weeks in, we had a mock pro day coming up. So essentially you go through everything you're gonna do at the pro day. You get your times, that's kind of your new baseline. But I remember I woke up that morning, I'm like, I'm feeling kind of confident right now. My technique's getting better. I'm like, I'm finna bust out a 4.5. So we go through the whole mock pro day, and y'all know how sometimes at college camps, they won't tell you your time. That's how they did it, right? So they didn't tell us our times until later in the day when they texted it to us. I'm feeling pretty good, right? I'm like, I think I executed my game plan.
Don't tell me you run a 4.8,
Go back to the house we're staying at. I get the text. I look at it. Dog, I ran a 4.69 or something like that. So immediately in the house group chat, as soon as all the texts came in, we just start texting did y'all run a good time? Everyone's like, nah, bro, my time was ass. We really all went in the living room. We're thinking yo, man, maybe football ain't for us. Maybe we got to do something else. Oh no, we're starting to talk about business.
But I feel bro, the 40 time don't really matter for real, bro. Cause you got guys that look faster on the field, like Tez Johnson, then he end up running a 4.5 or something like that. So, the only thing that matters is in-game speed, for real. You ain't gotta be a 40 track star, you know what I'm saying?
Crazy.
You ain't gotta be a full-blown sprinter out there, nigga.
That we were gonna have.
As long as you can run in-game, bro, you'll be just fine.
What'd you run? Dog, I put my phone on DND. I was like, I will talk to y'all tomorrow. I'm not dealing with this right now. I'm heated. I'm hot. Nah, y'all. Cause
that boy Restrepo ran a 4.8, bro.
Next day, and our trainer,
he looks faster in game. So
it's we know you guys are stressed out right now. Just relax. Combine training is not easy on your body. And they were completely right. Combine training in and of itself, dog, had my body feeling like it was in fall camp. And those of y'all that play football, you know exactly what that feeling's like. So they said that, and it kind of got us to calm our nerves a little bit. It was all right, we weren't fresh running this the pro day. But what that did make me realize was, it doesn't matter how good my technique is. If I'm not feeling 100% healthy, then I'm probably not going to be able to run as well as I can. So I did make the decision, all right, the next week, I'm probably going to chill. I'll do a couple of small drills here and there, but I'm not going to be opening up and running. And it actually made a huge difference, right? My hip flexor, my groin felt infinitely better after that. And y'all already know about my knees. So my knees were feeling better from taking a week off. I didn't really take a week off. It was more so I just wasn't fully opening up, fully striding, but huge decision that I made. And it wasn't an easy one, right? They were yo, you're going to be doing these drills? I was like, nah, I got to let my body get right. But that's kind of one of those things I say where sometimes you have to understand yourself and you have to make a decision, right? So some people would say, oh, he's not working hard because he's not doing these drills right now. It's no. gotta put myself first, put my body first, and listen to it, what it's telling me, which is, yo, you gotta chill out right now, or all the work you're putting in is gonna be for nothing. And high key, I do see why guys sit out of bowl games. Like, you know, obviously you see the top prospects sit out, and it makes sense. But you'll see a guy that's going in the 7th round, 6th round, probably undrafted, sit out, and people are like, oh, why is he sitting out? Like, he needs the extra film. I promise you that one game of film that you're gonna get in the bowl game is probably insignificant, and is much more insignificant compared to having an entire month where you can rehab your body. So when you're playing in the bowl game, depending on when your game is, you're practicing for pretty much the whole month, or you're getting ready to play a game for the whole month. So you're not really taking care of your body in the same way you are.
But like, bro, if you're like on the verge of like going undrafted, bro, you better play in that damn bowl game, nigga.
And we didn't play our bowl game
like
until
real
December
shit.
27th. So from Thanksgiving weekend all the way to December 27th, I was getting ready to play a game, but my body was jacked up. Like, I played, I think, 98 or 99% of the snaps on defense that year. So I was going through it. Like, I did not come off the field. My body was pretty beat up. But I went that one last game. So like I said, I'm never going to knock a guy for opting out of a bowl game. But if a guy wants to play in a bowl game, it's his prerogative too. Either way, you know, do what you want to do what you feels right. I wanted to play. I played. And then once I played, it's like, all right, now it's time to get the body right. Time to get right for training. After that week, came back, full speed, felt great, body felt phenomenal. Best it probably felt in like, you know, 9 months before camp started. And everyone else noticed like, yo, you're kind of flying right now. So I remember it was like 2 days before the mock pro day. You know, see, me and some of the guys were talking. They were like, yo, Hunt, what time you trying to run? And I was like, shit, my end goal is just sub 4.55. And they were like, yo, I don't know about that, gang. Like, yeah, I think you should be shooting for in the 4.4s. And I was like, hey, you know. And then at that moment, it's like,
that would be a huge jump from 4.6 to 4.4, bro.
Everyone else thinking I'm slow gets in my head. It's like, yo, they don't know what I'm capable of. They're not me. They don't know how hard I work. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, right. My new goal, 4.45. I was like, I think I can hit that. That is manageable, and that is like setting the bar high, right? I think a 4.55. If I kind of
gotta shoot for the stars, bro.
You know, you're kind of setting your expectations here when really your ceiling's up here. So I was like, all right. 4.45, that is the goal time. That's what we're trying to run. We get to the mock pro day. Took some of the lessons I learned from the first one, applied it to the second one, and
maybe I should do a 40 time for like a video, bro.
4.45.
I'm gonna do that one day.
4.51, we weren't fully recovered yet, and there were still things about my technique that needed to be cleaned up. So it was like, all right, you know, I feel like I'm on the right track right now. I feel like I'm on the right path. And then with the agility drills, you know, I was never great at them. I'm not the most fast-footed guy, but I was like, all right, you know, I like how they're progressing. I'm doing well enough to where they're not really a concern. So we get past the second mock pro day, and you know, at this point, it's like, all right, I got to clean up all the little things, and I'm starting to really clean them up. And yo, I'm starting to really take off from that start on the 40. Like I was moving. Then some of the like drills we were doing like flying 10s. We were doing, you know, 10-yard starts, and my times in them were really good. Like my times in them were the times that guys were running who were guys that were quote unquote fast. And then eventually my time in Florida was up. So I was like, all right, we're done here. Now it's time to head out to Utah. I actually went there 10 days before the pro day. I wanted to get acclimated to the altitude and all that. But I was like, I'm gonna come out here 10 days early and pretty much just do like the last little bit of training. It wasn't even training at that point. It was just kind of refreshing the body on what to do and all that. But get out to Utah. And then for 10 days, it's like, all right, really take care of my body, really focus on making sure I'm at an optimal level to run that pro day. Now, you guys have heard me talk a lot about running, but not about jumping. As you know, the knees been jacked up pretty much since 2019. I actually saw a chart the other day where one leg, I think it was like 3 or 4 pounds heavier than the other leg, which is like pretty much when the tendonitis started. Yeah, I made the decision. I was like, all right, if I jump, especially because the jumps are going to be before the runs, if I jump and my knees get like jacked up off of it and I can't really run as fast, I feel like it's not going to be as good. So I'm going to say, like, obviously I'm not going to say I have tendonitis right now. I think the scouts already knew, so it didn't really make a difference. But I told them like I'd clip my heel in training or something like that. Something stupid. Finally, we get to time to run the 40. Oh, just to glaze myself a little bit too, I did get 17 reps on the bench, you know. Started off when we first started training, when I did the little like first day of testing, hit 10 reps, pro day, hit 17. So yeah, that was like, you know. But yeah, when I got to that line, when I tell y'all, I was so confident, like there were no nerves whatsoever. Because a coach told me once, you shouldn't be getting there like hoping you run something, like hoping you let adrenaline take over and you run something like superhuman. It's like, nah, you should know pretty much what you're gonna run based off your testing numbers. So I was like, all right, if a 4.51 is kind of the low end of what I run, all right, cool with that. But I ran a 4.51 when my technique wasn't even all the way there yet. My technique was significantly better on the day of my pro day. So I was like, all right, I'm feeling good right now. No nerves, no anything. Get down the line, take off. I was like, yo, wait, I'm already past the line. Holy shit, I must have been flying. So I'm walking back And one of our strength coaches, Coach Gilson, real one, he clocked me at a 4.45. So
Ooh,
like,
shit.
boom, that's the goal right there. We good.
Damn.
And I look down in the distance, I see my agent, he gives me a thumbs up. Because one of our coaches, like kind of around where the scouts were, he gave me a thumbs up too. So I was like, all right, did what we had to do. There weren't a ton of people at our pro day, so we ended up having to run the second one pretty quick. My hamstrings were low-key on fire. That was the fastest I've probably ever moved in my life. Looking back at it, probably shouldn't have run the second one. Like, I probably should have just been content with the first. Ran the second one. It was slower. I've heard from multiple people that there were multiple scouts that clocked me sub 4.4. So the fastest I got clocked at was a 4.38. Had a couple 4.38s, like one or two 4.39s. But the thing they don't tell you about pro days is there's not really a uniform way on how they record the times. So there are a bunch of scouts there. Sometimes they average all the scouts' clocks and record it that way. Sometimes they just take one scout's clock and record it that way.
So they just be
How
bullshit.
they came up with the number, but the official time I ran was a 4.51, which I was kind of like, all right, bro. I don't know how y'all came up with this when most
Bro, for real, like, nigga, how you go from a 4.45 to a 4.51, bro? That don't make sense.
It is what it is. A 4.51 was still pretty good. Would have been like top 8 at the combine, I think. I'm still jacking the 4.38 though. I don't care what none of y'all say. I ran a 4.38. Pro day finally ends. Kind of there at the end, getting some water. A bunch of scouts come up and talk to me. They're getting a bunch of information, asking me a whole bunch of things. And I'm thinking like, all right, man, we just did what we had to do. We in it. We might get drafted. That was kind of that exuberance from the day of. Once that wore off, I was like, all right, probably still not getting drafted. I'm a 6th year, 24, but still had a great day, phenomenal day, did what we had to do. So then the rest of the process at that point is really just staying in shape for whatever, you end up going to. So I had a few more calls with scouts. My agent had some talks with scouts. I was like, all right, I'm definitely not going to be a day 1 pick. Definitely not going to be a day 2 pick. If I'm a day 3 pick, it's like maybe potentially in the 7th round. But in my head, I was like, all right, I'm pretty ready to be an undrafted free agent. Like, it's calm, it's cool, it is what it is. Like, I was a walk-on to start my college career. Being an undrafted free agent is nothing new for me.
All right, draft day.
First pick.
So I don't even think I watched day 1 of the draft. I think I watched day 2 because I knew some people that were going to get drafted, so I wanted to see it like for them, but I knew I wasn't going to get picked. Then day 3 came. That's when it's really like, all right, man, please no one text my phone. Please no one call me. Like, I don't want to hear anything from any of y'all. Like, I need my phone to be ready if a scout calls, if an agent calls, GM calls, whoever calls. Like, I need it to be for them. The 5th round passes, I'm like, all right, wasn't expecting my name to be called. 6th round passes. Some of the guys I trained with actually got picked in the 6th round, so I was geeked for them. I was watching for them really more so than myself. And then towards the end of the 7th round, my agent calls me. He's like, all right, so I've been talking to these scouts, these teams. They want to bring you in as rookie minicamp invite. Pretty much the same thing as being a preferred walk-on. Like, you have to prove yourself in a short amount of time to even make the team or have an opportunity. So I was like, all right, we're gonna look at kind of the options I had. So I remember I was talked to Tampa, I talked to Pittsburgh, the Chargers. I think there was like 1 or 2 more. I'm looking at it, I'm like, all right, Tampa, I think that's the best opportunity I have. And some people might troll and say, oh, you didn't even really make the NFL. There are thousands of guys that don't even get that opportunity. So if you're a guy going through it this year that gets a rookie minicamp invite, take it, run with it, because there are guys who have been signed from it. Now, I didn't get signed personally, but that's the reality for way more people than it isn't, right? So the guys that go in the 1st round, only 32 of them. Guys go in the 2nd round, only 32. 3rd round, only 32. Even in the entire draft, there's only about 257 guys that get picked. There are thousands and thousands of guys that are preparing for the entire process. At the time of this recording,
that's kind of crazy, bro. Like, a lot of players are not really going, play football ever again unless they like play in the XFL, not XFL, the UFL, or like, the CFL overseas and shit like that. That's kind of fucked up to think about, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
Pro days are probably gonna be over at that point. You've done really all you can do to put yourself in front of the NFL. But that is pretty much the side of the NFL draft that no one ever talks about, man. We always see the guys posting their day in their lives, the Travis Hunters, the Shedeur Sanders, the Cam Wards. You don't really see the Hunter Reynolds. Now, my biggest regret is not documenting the entire process. Really, my biggest regret from college on is not starting YouTube earlier. Man, I folded on that. But yeah, man, if you like the video, like, share, comment, subscribe. NFL draft process, it's a tough time, difficult time, just nature of the business.
Hey, man, it's a good-ass vid, though. I ain't gonna lie. I'm gonna sell to his channel, real shit. Hey, man, I wanna know what you guys think down in the comments below. Y'all let me know what other NFL videos I'm to react to. Without further ado, I'm
I'ma make them feel me, make them people when they show me. And if you don't know me, I'ma make sure that you know me. I hate to say it, but I really think I'm broke. But I know I'm chosen, I really know I'm chosen. I know I'm chosen. I was just lost a year ago, but now I'm focused. When good at sports, this microphone can be my trophy. Not taking drugs, I found a better way of coping.